Going into coaching, obviously, I really want to go back to my old high school. I know my coaches really well there. I want to inspire kids that if you put in the work, you're gonna see results. It's gonna take time, but I know from my past and other my old teammates, coaches, and all that, that if you stay patient, you will see good results.
Welcome to Believe in the Leap, the show where faith meets grit and ordinary men do the unthinkable. I'm your host, Brad Parnell. All right, fellows, buckle up. Today's episode is pure fire. I've got a guest who's not only breaking records, but breaking the mold. Meet Henry. He is a Kansas native, a believer, and an endurance beast who's just getting started. This guy ran his first ultramarathon, I think, as a 50-miler and had a crazy time that we'll talk about here in a little bit. It's going to blow you guys away. And then he's done some other pretty cool stuff. He ran a 5K in 15 minutes, 18 seconds. His fastest mile is 4 minutes and 23 seconds. Is that right?
Yep.
Now, is this true? A 50K in 3 hours and 26 minutes?
Yep. And the state record is 3:21.
Oh my gosh. And then your 50-mile debut in 5 hours and 57 minutes.
Yep. That's correct.
That's crazy. So Henry's currently number 2 all-time Kansan. Is that right?
Just Kansas and Kansas soil. Missouri guy has number 1 for that spot.
Okay. But number 1 in his age group, number 3 in the nation, and holds a course record. You train solo, and you're stepping into the ultra scene with some serious momentum. So you're working at a running store, finishing school, and feeling the tug to coach and lead others. I'm also part of F3, which we'll talk about a little bit. It's kind of how we got connected. And he says he's literally going to run until the day he dies and is chasing down the purpose with every step. So this is one of those conversations I think that'll light a fire in your gut if you guys listening. So let's dive in and get started. So Henry, welcome to the show, man. I'm so glad you're here.
Glad to be a part of it. So I'm very excited.
Yeah. So how all this got started, and guys, here's why you need to listen until the very end is I'm going to ask Henry just kind of for some tips too for folks that are maybe either just getting into running or maybe wanting to do their first ultramarathon. I just had a guy pop into my office here too that said, hey, I think I'm about to do my first ultra in Costa Rica. Do you think I should do it? And of course, my answer was yes, sign up. So whether you're thinking about doing your first ultra or just your first marathon, Henry's going to give us some awesome just tips and ideas of maybe some things he's done to prepare, how he got some of his crazy times. It's funny, Henry, our buddy Seth that connected us, he sent me the video of you coming across the finish line at that 50-miler, and you looked fresh, man. You were just like cruising along.
It was funny. Before that video was recorded, 2 or 3 seconds before that video started, I hopped up because I had a bad calf cramp out of nowhere. I don't know, about mile 35 plus to the finish, I was dealing with some bad cramps and all that stuff. But yeah, it was a tough finish, but yeah, I did have a little bit left at the end. So
yeah. So I would love to hear the story, and I legitimately don't know because we just got connected. What made you want to sign up for this 50-miler? What was kind of going through your head?
Yeah. So I've been out of the college running scene for a little bit, and I've just been training on my own. I've been mainly just running 5Ks, 10Ks, all that stuff on the roads. And I was tired of just training by myself, doing faster kind of stuff. Sometimes I wouldn't even race, and I was putting in all this training for nothing. And I was just sometimes down on myself. And towards the end of 2024, it was about December, I started working at this running store, and I was starting to enjoy training again, but I wanted a change. I didn't want to just stick with 5Ks or the faster kind of stuff. I'm you know what? I think I have a lot more endurance. I think I can really take on the challenge. I want to push myself to my limits. I've always been inspired there's a lot of documentaries on YouTube and just a lot of other places about ultra running and stuff like that. And I've always been passionate about that. I mean, you probably know Jim Walmsley, all the big pros in the ultra running scene. And I've always thought maybe I could go into that scene of ultra running and go see what I can do. So yeah, I wanted that change and of scenery and see what I could do. Yeah.
And not only did you do it, you broke some records, man. Did you think going in there that you were going to be pushing the boundaries and breaking some records?
My goal was to break the state record. It was actually funny. I was on the start line of the race, and I was saying good luck to the person to the right of me, which was a male, and then the person to the left of me was a female who I didn't know at the time, but she was actually the 100-mile state record holder, but she was running the 50-mile with me that day. and we started the race, and she told me while we were running, she was running like 6:30 pace with me for like the first 4 miles, chilling. She was like barely breathing, just we were talking. She was like telling me she wanted to break the state record as well, and she was just shy of it as well. She ran like 7 hours and 2 minutes. I think she needed to go sub 7 hours on the dot.
Wow.
It was a
Wow.
cool experience to share that with her for a little bit. Her name's Kelly.
Yeah. And how far behind were you on the state record on this one?
It's 5 hours and 45 minutes. I went 5 hours and 57 minutes, so a little over 10
Man.
minutes. I just fell apart towards the end. So,
Yeah. Well, hey, that's nothing to be ashamed of, man. That is insane
yeah.
time. You talk about training solo, Henry. How do you stay consistent and push when no one's watching, when you're just by yourself training?
It's a good question. I mean, I've had a lot of former coaches that have pushed me real hard. My dad, just coaches in high school, my teammates. We had a really deep team in high school, and we always pushed each other. And I think it's just, I have a really strong mentality. I'm able to get up every day, even if it's not in the morning, in the afternoons as well, just get my run in, get my workouts in. I think it's all just mental, just knowing I can stay consistent and knowing that on any given day I can give my best effort and show up every day.
Man, that's super impressive. So now that you've stepped into ultras, what are your big goals? Is there like a dream race on your radar, or what's next for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just getting into this ultra running, and there's a lot to it. There's like the Leadville 100. There's all these cool races around. I actually don't know what's next. I know I was really close to the 50K state record in my 50-mile race, and then I could always go for that state record in the 50-mile. I think it would be cool to go for those records, but I also think it'd be cool to go find some other races, maybe outside of Kansas, go compete with a bigger field. I'm pretty sure they do like a 50-mile national championships, which was in Pennsylvania last year. I think it's in Illinois this year. I think I would qualify for that. I think. I would like to maybe submit a ticket for Western states, even though one ticket won't get me in. It's just to add those tickets up for in the future. But yeah, I don't know what's next race wise, but maybe in the next few months I'll find something.
That's awesome. So me and a buddy are doing a Leadville 50 this year, the Silver Rush 50 miler.
Wow.
So that's in July, man. It's not too late to sign up. Come hang out with us
I
July
didn't.
12th.
I thought it was just the 100. They do a 50.
Yep. So they do. It's called Leadville Silver Rush 50. And so it's on the same mountain. It's a little bit different course, but it seems beautiful because we were doing the same thing. We were watching all the documentaries, watching people do Leadville. We got that crazy idea of like, hey, let's just pull it up and see when Leadville is just to see, because we were feeling a little crazy. And then, yeah, we stumbled upon the Leadville 50, and both of our birthdays were in July, and our wives gave us the thumbs up to fly out there and do it.
There we go. Yeah. Like I said, that's on my radar one day. So I'd love to go watch it too. That would be such a cool event to be part of. A guy
Oh
on
my gosh.
his wife he's not an ultra runner, but his wife is. His name's Tim Allen. His name is Kelly Force, or Kelly Allen now. But yeah, she ran Leadville. She didn't finish, but she's really good at the state of Kansas as well. But she took on the challenge of 100, which is cool.
Oh man, that's neat. I've got if you ever want to get connected, I have my cousin paced a 100 miler at Leadville, and he said it was beautiful. And the guy he paced finished the race. I want to say it was like minutes before the cutoff, like barely made it. But he got the belt buckle and finished the 100 miler, but it was like right at the neck of the cutoff time.
Wow. There was one guy that finished, our cutoff was 30 hours for the 100-mile. And I looked at the results. He went like 29:30. So
Man,
out there,
that relief.
it's
Yeah, can you imagine how that would feel just to finish it and knowing that you
yeah,
you made the cutoff time?
it's like, wow, I can't imagine. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. So you're currently ranked third in the nation, is that right?
Yes, right now.
Okay. So does that drive you, or do you feel like you just do you run more for the love of the grind?
It's a little bit of both. It drives me a little bit. I've always been a guy that like loves being on the top of the rankings. I mean, in high school I don't deal with a lot of injuries, knock on wood, but in high school I did. And until my senior year, I started really climbing the rankings, especially in the mile. I was like top 5 in the state, and then 2 mile as well. But yeah, when I see I'm leading the nation right now or third in the nation in the 50-mile, it gives me a little motivation. Yeah, I just
Yeah,
love
that's
running, so yeah, that drives me too.
that's incredible. I'm sure after finishing that race and going back to the running store, did you get lots of high fives and kudos from everyone there?
Oh yeah, lots of praise from my coworkers. We all enjoy running, so yeah, they were very happy for me. So Yeah.
That's incredible, man. Well, let's talk a little bit about faith in life. So you've got believer in your bio. How has your faith played a role in your training and in your journey so far?
Yeah. I grew up Catholic for the longest time. And then over time, I just stopped going to church a lot. I wasn't really reading the Bible or anything like that. Wasn't a part of a Bible study. And then two guys, a part of my crew, and Doug. Doug was a pacer for my crew. My last pacer. They invited me to a Bible study about 6 or 7 months ago, and ever since then, I became just a Christian, getting really close to my faith. And then I joined F3, which I've known Seth for a while. I ran with this kid in high school, but yeah, he's part of the F3 group I go to, and Mark as well, who was part of my crew. But yeah, I really enjoyed learning about my faith again, just being closer to God. And I mean, we did a prayer before my race. We had the whole crew huddle up, and it was really, really neat. So,
Hey guys, quick break from the show to tell you about something I've been using daily that's helped me stay sharp, focused, and even recover faster after those brutal trail runs. It's called Super Patch, a non-invasive, drug-free patch that uses vibrotactile tech to help your nervous system perform at its best. No pills, no side effects, just a small patch that goes to work while you do whatever you're doing, whether you're training, hard grinding in business, or just trying to stay dialed in. Super Patch is a total game changer. Check it out for yourself at brad.superpatch.com and experience the difference. All right, back to the show.
yeah.
That's beautiful, man. That is such a beautiful story. So for those listening that don't know what F3 is, how would you describe F3?
I find it as really fun. I mean, you're waking up real early, and I mean, it's just a close knit group of guys that are really passionate about their faith, but also get a good workout in the morning. And then one guy, I think I don't know too much about F3. I've only gone a handful of times, but I know you share a good message after, and then we have some coffee, share some word and wisdom and all that kind of stuff. So I really enjoy it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So I'll talk a little bit into this and then I'll turn it back to you because I want this to be all about you. But because if you don't know about F3, the show is not supported by F3, but it is life changing. It's all around the world now. It's not just in the US, it's in different countries. And it stands for Fitness, Fellowship, and Faith. And it's really like a men's leadership group disguised as a workout group. So to Henry's point, like I met guys this morning at 4:30. So we ran like 6 something miles before a 45-minute what they call a beat down, which is just an outdoor body weight workout. Sometimes you bring a coupon, which is called a cinder block. But what's cool is, I mean, the mission of F3, it's to plant, grow, and serve small workout groups for men for the invigoration of male community leadership. It's always outdoors. It's held rain or shine, hot or cold. It's led in a peer rotating fashion. It ends in a circle of trust. The people that lead aren't professionals. There's not like a professional trainer there, but it is probably been the most life-changing experience in the last couple of years I've been a part of it. My closest relationships, how Henry and I are connected right now, was from his buddy Seth, that what's called downrange. He joined us from Kansas and came down to Keller
Yeah.
and just got accepted in the group. So we ran with him, we talked with him, we got connected. And that's how like the quality of your life really is directly tied to the quality of your relationships. And I think things like F3 bring in those quality relationships. So that's a little F3 plug. If you don't know anything about it, you can go to f3nation.com and kind of read more about it. Very cool. Thanks for sharing about your faith. So running, I think, has a way of getting spiritual. Are there moments on the trail maybe where you felt God show up?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking later on in the race when I was by myself before I had a pacer, I was just thinking of people that have brought me into my faith, like two of my crew members, Mark and Doug. And then I thought of the Lord just helping me through getting to that turnaround in Garnett, Kansas, where I could pick up my first pacer. But yeah, I just thought of everybody at F3, my family, and just knowing the Lord has put me in a spot where I can finish this race mentally and physically. So, yeah.
As you're stepping into that coaching role, how do you want to combine purpose with performance? So someone's purpose based on how you want them to perform.
Yeah. Going into coaching, obviously, I really want to go back to my old high school. I know my coaches really well there, but yeah, I want to put a lot of input on just like knowing that I want to inspire kids that if you put in the work, you're gonna see results. It's gonna take time, but I know from my past and my old teammates, coaches, and all that, that if you stay patient, you will see good results.
Yeah, that's great. Do you have anyone right now that you're actively coaching, or is that kind of a future pursuit you want to step into?
More of a future pursuit. I was hoping to coach this spring for track, but I'm looking into next fall for cross country. So, but yeah, not at the moment, but Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. So stepping back a second into F3, because this is something really fun we didn't share, is that everyone in F3 has nicknames. So most of us don't know each other's real names, and there's usually like a funny story behind the name. And so like when Henry joined for the first time, he didn't get to pick out his nickname. He didn't get to think of like, what's the coolest nickname I can give for myself, right? It was what they ask him a lot of questions. Like I know in our region, people ask like, hey, what's your favorite like breakfast cereal or what's some of your hobbies? And they try to give you kind of like a funny or jabby names. Henry, what's your F3 nickname?
My F3 nickname is DIY, so do it yourself. I remember, like you just said, I was in the circle, I was just in the middle of it, and they were all like asking me random questions. Like you said, what's your favorite food? What's your favorite thing to do? And all that kind of stuff. And I was waiting to hear my nickname, and they said DIY, which I didn't understand at first, but then I was like, do it yourself. So, yeah, a lot of things I like to do by myself. So, yeah.
That's cool. So since you've joined F3, has anything you think shifted in your mindset as far as like community or accountability or anything since you've been a part of that group?
Yeah, I think it's really gotten me out of my, I don't know how to say it, just like, I don't know. One, it's got me into more of my faith, but also just like meeting new people, being around close knit guys, just being around a good community of people, and then being able to tell people about it and bringing in people that want to join F3 as well. So I've actually recruited some people as well. They don't come a lot, but I've tried to bring in some people.
Yeah, that's great, man. I think one of the biggest things I've learned from it too, it's all about like give it away, right? Like you get the gift and you give it away. And the more that you can share it, the more it grows and the more that you're helping other people while you're helping yourself. But it's such a cool gift. All right. So back to some of the racing things. And guys, make sure you stick to the end because I'm gonna ask Henry some really cool question just about, if you're trying to do maybe your first marathon or trying to do your first ultra, just some tips that he might have to pick his kind of coaching brain. But before we get there, I want to ask you some kind of like rapid fire fun questions. Okay, do you prefer to run in the morning or the evening?
I prefer to run in the morning a lot more. Sometimes it's hard for me to wake up, but I like the morning a lot. I like night runs, but afternoon not so much. It's too hot sometimes.
Yeah, I hear you, especially for those ultras.
You're from Fort Worth, correct? Yeah. So two of my buddies, or one of my buddies, had an internship in Fort Worth this last summer, and then one of my other buddies went up with, and I went with him as well. We got an Airbnb, and we stayed there for about 2.5 months to three. My buddy was at Charles Schwab doing an internship there, but I was training in
Yeah.
Worth for the whole summer. It was, I mean, if I didn't wake up at 6 a.m. to get my run in, it was already hotter than heck.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we do a run here every year. It's called there's a really beautiful trail by Eagle Mountain Lake, which is just a lake here in kind of the North Fort Worth area, and it's called King of Eagle Mountain. And I've signed up for like the 6 hour one. It's in the middle of summer. It's just fully exposed heat on the trail, and you just are running for 6 hours, as many laps as you can get. And,
Wow.
I remember on the very last loop, I was running with a guy. We were just like, "Screw it." We, like, jumped in the lake. We kept our shorts on, took everything else off, and, we were just like it was the best feeling water. It was 90 plus degrees. We were dying, 6 hours, and, that water felt so good. And then we just put our shoes and socks back on and made it to the finish line.
That's amazing.
Okay, your best post-race meal. So when you finish a big race, what's your favorite thing to eat?
Oh, that's a good question. Some kind of steak or sirloin, baked potatoes, maybe. I don't know. Something with a lot of carbs.
Yeah, man. It's amazing how depleted you can get out there on the trail,
Uh,
right?
Especially for my first ultra, it was like, oh my gosh. I actually had a sirloin with, and then 2 hours later, I had a whole Chipotle bowl.
Yeah,
Starving.
man. Yeah, I remember. So we did a Dino Valley, which you need to come out and do. Last year, we did the Dino Valley 100K last November, and it was the first 100K we've ever done. On the way back, me and one of the buddies that did it, we stopped at Chipotle and just destroyed it. And then he texted me later and was like, "Yeah, I got home and my family had dinner, so we went back to Chipotle again, and I did the same thing." Okay, Henry, what is your worst race experience?
Worst race experience. I'd probably say I was doing an 8K in college at St. Mary's. I was unattached. I was like the fittest I've ever been. And then I ended up like a mile in. I was in great position. It was at Gans Creek in Missouri, on Missouri's home course for cross country. And I ended up like just getting a horrible side stitch, and I basically got dead last. My coach was telling me to like pull off the course, but I ended up like still finishing it. But yeah, that's probably the worst race experience I've ever had.
Oh, man, that sounds painful. Whew.
Yeah,
Well, at least you finished it, man. I mean, that's a cool testament instead of
yeah,
just DNFing or quitting.
exactly. I don't quit. So
Love it, bro. Okay, if you could race alongside any athlete, dead or alive, who would it be?
wow. Before ultra running, I'm big on the miles, so I'd probably either say Matthew Centrowitz or Grant Fisher, maybe in the 5K, maybe. I mean, top of the top athletes, but that would be so cool. So
Yeah. Are both of them still racing today?
yeah, Centrowitz. I mean, he won gold in Rio, I believe, but he's starting to get his training back together. And then Grant Fisher just won, or he got silver and then bronze this last Olympics. So yeah,
That's incredible.
yeah.
Very cool. What's the one lesson you've learned through running that applies most to life?
I'd probably say just never give up. I mean, it's a sport you can do forever. I mean, it's something that pushes you. It's something that like every day after your run, you can just it gives you motivation to get through the rest of the day. So yeah, to never give up.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you framed it up really well too. I love just the like never quit or don't quit, right? It's perseverance, it's grit, it's determination, especially running in the morning. It's like you do the hard thing and everything else just doesn't feel as hard.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I'm sure once you cross that 50-mile finish line, like nothing else that day felt as hard.
Sitting down the rest of yeah.
Yeah. Dude, 50 miles. I think ever since I've heard that story, like even when I was running with the guys this morning, I keep just being like, man, I can't believe this guy Henry ran that fast. So because we kept like looking at our pace to be like, this is our like pretty breakneck speed right now. And he was doing this for 50 miles.
Gosh, yeah.
It's wild.
We were on state record pace for the longest time and then it fell apart towards the end a little bit. But yeah, it was an experience that my crew will never forget, my family, I'll never forget, especially my first ultra. Plenty more to come, but yeah, it was unforgettable.
Tell me you got a cool belt buckle.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, I should have brought it down with me. It's all the way up in
It's
my room.
cool. Oh, you're good. Well, you send me a picture of it later and I'll add it to like the video side of this.
It's pretty cool. It's like a old railroad trail. And then I also got like for the first place winner, like a railroad spike that's all gold. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
You're gonna keep that for the rest of your life.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I will. So
It's awesome. Okay, tell me about your fueling, Henry. So when you were out there, what did your pre-rest race preparation look like? Like, how did you get everything prepared? And then what were some of your go-tos on the run that you stayed fueled with?
yeah, so during my training block, I used mostly liquids. I was using Hyperlight for my, it has like 130 grams of carbs and then 1,000 milligrams of sodium. So I do like 3/4 of that of Hyperlight, and I use Tailwind for electrolytes as well. I was using gels in my training block for a lot of it, but it just never sat well in the stomach. So I'm like, I know a few ultra runners that just do liquids. I might just try that to start out with. And eventually, during my race, I mean, in my first ultra, I was doing the hyperlight, and it was keeping me really hydrated, all that kind of stuff. But I really wasn't feeling like I was being fueled correctly. I just felt like I was getting weak pretty early on, which I did, and then I probably would have walked a lot more of that race if I didn't have any pacers because my hamstrings and quads were just gone. It felt like 7:30 pace after mile 35 was just 10-minute pace. Yeah, I was if I didn't have any pacers, it would have been bad. But I think going forward, I need to look into I mean, it's a good valuable lesson, a good learning lesson, but look into a better fueling option, which my crew, we're going to debrief it a bit and going into the forward, we're going to look into some new stuff.
Yeah. I can't imagine that energy and excitement at that finish line was your family there with you too?
They were. Yep, they were. So my mom, my dad, my sister, her boyfriend, and then I have a twin brother, but he couldn't make it. So
Yeah. Man, what a cool moment. I'm sure no one will ever forget that.
yeah.
That's wonderful. Okay, so what else? What were some of your preparations like when you were meeting with your crew and your pacers? I'd love to know, did you have everything kind of set out or any big strategic plans, or was it kind of just let's just figure this first one out and go and see what happens?
I want to say it was like figure it out as we go. We kind of knew going into it like what we were going to use. It was pretty simple, just liquids. We did have gels ready just in case, but when I got to the turnaround in Garnett, I was like, guys, I need food intake. I can't just do the liquids. And I took some energy chews and I immediately threw it up. And that was when I was like, oh, this is a bad turning point. Like this could go bad really quick. But yeah, preparing wise, we got there and I handed them the 2 bags, Tailwind, Hyperlight, told them what needed to be in it. Most of my crew already knew about it, but just in case. So each aid station, they were ready. Most aid stations, I just rolled through, grabbed the bottle and went. But coming back after the turnaround, I had to stop a few times and just make sure I got some oranges or pickle juice or something like that just to get down. But yeah.
They have some pretty wild food at trail ultras. I mean, I just did a road ultra and it was all boring stuff, but I've been on some trail ultras and there's been things like bacon wrapped Oreos, peanut butter pancakes. Because at that point, you lose everything. So you just need like carbs and sugar and calories.
Yep.
um, this is pretty wild. So were there any interesting foods at the aid stations that you came across besides oranges?
If I'm being honest, I wasn't really paying attention. I didn't have any like drop bags or anything. I just kept everything with my crew. So it was more so, I mean, just pickle juice, oranges. There was probably some other cool stuff that I didn't notice. I'd have to ask around, but yeah.
Yeah, you were too busy trying to beat like the state record. Couldn't pay attention to that
Exactly.
stuff.
Yeah. That girl was
That's
right
cool.
behind me. So
Yeah. Okay, so training shoes versus race shoes. Did you train in different shoes that you raced with?
I did, yeah. I always change up my shoes, my trainers going into the ultras. I mean, my training, I was doing it all by myself, but yeah, I like Nike a lot, but I also like Asics, Brooks. But it was actually funny at work. We have like all kinds of reps come in all the time, and the Nike rep came in and showed us all these new demo shoes and coming out soon. And then he's like, he heard about my race and he's like, I can hook you up with a free race shoe. So it was the Nike Ultra Fly that I used during the race. It's a carbon plated trail shoe that Nike
Wow.
makes. And I mean, I was running on crushed gravel the whole time on an old railroad trail. So it was the perfect shoe. It felt pretty good. So yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty bold to do a 50 miler in a brand new shoe.
Oh yeah, I know. I used it a couple times before in my training, but yeah, it
Yeah.
was good.
So if you could take a time machine, not a long one, just a short one, and go back to the training you were doing leading up to the race, is there anything that you think you would change?
I would change a lot of things actually, like just doing more workouts, like kind of back in my college days, like, or even just training before ultras where I would do like more speed work. I didn't think speed work would be needed. I did a lot of base miles, just like longer runs, 20 plus miles. I mean, my longest run was a 25 miler. I've never done a marathon before, never done a 50K, anything like that. But yeah, I did a couple workouts in that ultra fly, like just like faster miles, but nothing like speed work really, which I think actually can be used if you're going and races if you're going for records. So I need to work on that a little bit better. But it's
Yeah.
always a valuable lesson.
So this is so funny. I just want to recap this for a second. So you've never done a marathon before, marathon distance, and you went in not into a 50K, but into a 50 miler, going from 25 miles to 50 miles.
Yep.
That's crazy, man.
I know.
Did
I know.
did did you have any sort of reservation of like, maybe I should do like a 50K first, or do you feel pretty confident just jumping into the 50?
That's the funny thing. Like I didn't know of the 50K at all in like ultra running. I thought it was just like there's a 100 miler, there's a 50 miler, and I thought obviously I've heard of the Cocodona 250 or Moab 240, but I didn't know there was
Yeah,
a 50K distance. And I'm like, I signed up for this 50 miler. I'm like, oh, maybe I should have signed up for the 50K, but I'm like, you know what? We're pushing ourselves to the limits, so let's go get it.
love it, man. I think that is so freaking cool. I've met so many ultra marathoners that have completely skipped over marathon. So
Really?
it's an interesting trend. Yeah. I've got a few ultra marathon buddies and still to this day they've never done even like a road half or a road full. They just went straight into trail running and into trail ultras and
Wow,
they've got no desire to do a full marathon or
that is crazy.
so you're for whatever reason, I think you guys are just, or I guess I'll put myself in the category. We're all just built different.
Yeah,
I did the same thing. I went from 5K to a half marathon to a 50K, and I skipped the couple ones too. So I think
yeah,
that's just we're like, well, if we can do a full, we could probably do something bigger than that.
for sure. Yeah,
But
that's
I love
amazing.
that you went right into the 50 miler just because you thought that's what it was supposed to be.
Oh yeah. I mean, we have the state record holder. He has his own like club or team name. They in Wyandotte County, which is only like 20 minutes from where I live. They call themselves the Wyco Wolf Pack, and he has like all the state records in the 100 mile, 50 mile. I don't know if he has a 50K, but yeah, our crew's thinking of having like a figuring out a team name, and I'd like to go find Cody Jones, which is a state record holder, and maybe make a little rivalry out of it. Just have fun and I mean, compete against the best of the best in
Yeah.
Kansas, I guess.
Just buy a billboard in Kansas and say, Cody, I'm coming after you.
That would be awesome. Oh my god.
Just have you crossing the finish line. Be like, if you know, you know.
It's funny. He crosses the finish line. He always howls at the the sky or the moon, which is funny because they call themselves the Waco Wolfpack. But yeah, it'd be cool to create a team name. We've thought of some, like Kansas Trailblazers, or I'm from DeSoto. We always call it like D-Town Rundown. But yeah, we have some cool names that we may be looking into. We're from Johnson County as well, so maybe Joco, something, Dirt Devils, or I don't know. We'll figure it out. A fun name, but
That's cool.
intimidating as well.
Yeah. So you and Seth need to come down here for Spartan. We're doing the Spartan Ultra Beast this year.
Remind me, what distance is that?
So I say it's only because we get into that mindset, right? It's so it's a 50K. So it's a 50K trail with like a ton of obstacles. I forget how many. So it's a 50K, and then you camp out, which is cool. And then the next day you just do a real quick 5K, 10K.
Yeah.
But you get like 3 different medals. You get a belt buckle, you get 3 wedges that form like an ultra trifecta medal, and then you get like a weekend finisher medal. So you get a lot of hardware.
Wow,
But
that's amazing. Yeah.
it's really fun. I think too,
When you said it was an
F3.
obstacle DK. Oh
Yep,
wow, that's
yep.
amazing.
So
More
they're
cross-country
my
stuff.
yeah, they're my favorite, man. Especially with like F3 because you have to practice some grip strength. I mean, it's like 20-foot rope climbs, inverted wall climbs,
Oh my
uh,
gosh. Wow.
boulder lifting,
Wow.
while you're doing an ultra trail run.
Yep, exactly. That is a different beast. Wow. Yeah, I'll have to look into
A lot
that.
of
You
fun.
said, is it in Keller?
So it's in Granbury, which isn't too far. It's about an
Okay.
hour outside of this area, but we've got a group going, so I'll send you the details. But you and Seth definitely need to come to that. It'd be fun.
Sweet. Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Okay, so Henry, and for those of you listening, maybe it's you're trying to get into your very first 10K half, or maybe you've done that and you're looking at getting into an ultra. What are some practical tips you would just coach people on, Henry? Like pretend like this is you're here with a coaching client, they're trying to get better at running, they want to go some distances, do some hard things. How would you coach them?
I'd probably say it's just all about getting outside the door, starting off slow. You don't need to be going too quick, but also like mileage wise, if you're going into 5Ks, 10Ks, you want to get into running, just keep the mileage low, stay consistent. It's okay to take rest days. You don't have to do 6 days a week and do this last day, a rest day. You could take 3 days off and there, start off slow, take it easy. But yeah, just stay consistent. That's all it is. So yeah.
What do you think is maybe like one big false belief that runners have, whether that's, man, I could never run this distance or I could never run this fast? What would you think is like one of the most common self-limiting beliefs that runners have?
A very good question. I'd probably have to say, I don't know, off the top of my head, maybe just false belief that I don't know. It would have to be maybe. Well, let me ask you, what would yours be? For
Yeah, so I think I've got distance nailed. Like I think I'm signing up for a 100-miler next year. So I think I've broke the belief of I could never do this distance. I think mine is maybe speed. Like I could never finish this length of race at this type of speed.
gotcha. Yeah, mine would probably have to be just like I don't know, maybe like 100 mile. Or that used to be it. Like I thought, oh, I don't know about this ultra thing. I signed up like 80 days out, and I'm like, man, this is far away. I don't have. I mean, I got a lot of time, but it came up on me quick. So, but yeah, I think it's more just I don't know, figuring. I don't know what I'm saying, but yeah, I just think finding that belief and knowing that you can do it. So yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And guys, I do this purposely. So Henry, thanks for letting me put you on the spot. He did not know any of these questions I was asking. And it's on purpose. I mean, this is like real authentic. I mean, Henry, you are a rock star runner, man. I just want to give you kudos and credits for second in state, first 50 miler, crushing some serious goals. Like mad credit to you, man. That is just
Thank
so
you.
awesome.
Oh,
And any other tips? So for like folks out there that might be starting to run, or maybe they've never run before and they want to do something, like what inspiration would you give them, or any just other basic tips other than just get outside and do it? Do you have anything else you'd want to leave them with?
I just say have fun with it. I mean, meet up with people, go join a local run club, find what you think is fun for whatever you're doing, and then it just makes it 10 times better. So
Yeah, I agree with that. If it's okay if I add to it, I think I have done some runs alone and used to train alone, and now like I meet with my F3 buddies, and they're the guys that just finished their first 100-miler. They're the guys I did 100K with. They're the guys that we signed up to do crazy things that I probably wouldn't do on my own. My alarm went off at 3:50 this morning to get up and pick up a guy at 4:15 to start a run at 4:30. And I would never do that by myself, as disciplined as I am. But I think when you have buddies that are locked in to doing hard things with you, it's amazing how it's that saying, you can go fast alone, but you can go far together.
For sure. Yeah.
And I think when you have people pushing you, like if I invite Henry to be like, Henry, we're all doing a Leadville 100 2026, like sign up, prepare yourself, let's go.
Oh yeah.
Um, he's going to have a lot more excitement and enthusiasm and training than he would just be like, I'm going to sign up by myself and I hope my crew is going to show up. So I agree. Find a group to run and train with and push yourself. And it's amazing how far you will be able to go.
Yeah. That's why I'm glad I joined F3. Ever since I got out of the college running scene, I was training by myself all the time. Like before I got even in ultras, and track workouts were tough. Just being out there on the track by myself, doing all that speed and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, the only time I ever got to run with people was when my best friends, college teammates are home for the summer, and I get to run with them maybe early in the mornings, getting a mileage run in, or just some other buddies that want to run every once in a while. But finding F3 was really good because on Wednesdays I can join Seth and some other people and get some miles in.
Yeah, that's great. So, guys, key takeaways here from Henry. I would say, yeah, just get outside and do it. Get with a good group. Make sure you're focused on just having fun too. Like enjoy it. Enjoy the run. It can be enjoyable, and just keep pushing yourself on distance, speed. Like it's all brick by brick. It's all stacked. Like you're not going to wake up and just be able to do your best time at the best distance. Like Henry had a lot of pre-work, a lot of experience, a lot of training leading up to his amazing finish. And so just getting out there and just pushing yourself, and brick by brick, day by day, year by year, you're going to get better and better and better, and be able to do some fun things. And the hardware is fun to collect, right? Like the medals, the belt buckles, it brings a cool story. And I think even leaving a legacy, whether that's with your family, your kids, it's just
Oh yeah.
fun to have and tell stories around.
For sure. Yeah, I remember it was my race started at 6:30, but at 6 a.m. the 100 milers went off, and I remember before we started, I saw this guy decked out in Hoka gear, and he must have been a pro Hoka athlete. I found out he actually trains in Flagstaff, but yeah, he is a Hoka sponsored athlete. He was like the only 100 miler I could not find on the course when I was passing so many people. I ended up like reaching out to him, and he's like, I must have just missed you. He averaged like 25 for 100 miles. I think he got a Kansas soil record. He didn't get the state record, obviously, because he's not from here, but the soil record, which is in 14 hours and 2 minutes. But yeah, it was
Wow.
crazy to talk to him after. I mean, I didn't stay for it, but I mean, it was cool to reach out to him and learn a few things from him and get some tips.
14 hours and 2 minutes, man. And it's funny because usually, like when you do 100 milers, a good goal is sub 24. Like, can I
Oh,
finish this in under 24 hours? Like, you get a special medal. So that is crazy time.
yeah, sub 24 is a different beast for 100. So yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, Henry, as we close, is there anything else that you'd like to share to any of our listeners that are maybe endurance athletes or maybe trying to do some races or thinking of just to inspire them on their journey ahead?
Yeah, I would probably just say if you're looking to push your body to the limits, join the ultra scene. 99% of people don't do it. Like I said earlier, I wanted a big change. I've been used to like 5Ks, faster kind of stuff. But yeah, if you're ever looking for a change, join that ultra scene because it's life changing. So it's unforgettable memory, but also you learn a lot about yourselves.
It's awesome. So, Henry, I know I didn't ask you about this before the show, but if anyone wants to kind of follow with what you're doing, do you have any public profiles or any way that people can connect with you or kind of see what you're up to?
Yeah, I don't use some social media. I don't use Twitter. I have, but I don't use it as much. But I have an Instagram, just my name, Henry Rokusek, and then Strava. If you're a runner, it's just my name as well, Henry Rokusek. But yeah, those are my main profiles I use. So yeah.
Well, guys, make sure to follow Henry, follow his journey. Let's see what his next ultra marathons look like. I think he's going to be doing some amazing things. So we celebrate you, man. Celebrate your journey. Again, big congratulations to your huge win. That's something to be incredibly proud about. I probably wouldn't be standing up right now if if I tried to hit that time. So you seem to be doing pretty well on recovery.
A few walks every day, and today was a 4 mile walk, more of a ruck, I guess you could say. Yeah, legs are finally getting under me, but I told myself a week off. If you know me and like actually know me, I never am a man of my word. I will always be trying to get back running as soon as possible. But I think a lot of people are pushing me to just, it's your first ultra, take the dang week off and rest.
Yeah, that's good advice. That's good advice. Awesome, Henry. Well, hey, thanks for joining the show. Guys, make sure to follow him on Instagram or on Strava and celebrate his journeys and wins. And maybe we'll have you on the show again, maybe after you complete your first, 100-miler or next big victory. We'll come in and celebrate with you.
That'd be awesome. I really appreciate you, Brad, for having me on the show. So it's been fun.
Absolutely. Thanks for listening to Believe in the Leap. Guys, if you enjoyed this episode and you know someone that might get something from it, please share this. You can subscribe to us on Spotify or on Google Podcasts or on Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. And please share this with someone that you think might enjoy it. We also will publish these on YouTube, and you can follow us and subscribe there. We will catch you on the next episode.